We're going to go ahead and get started with the September 5th Budget and Finance Committee. But before we do that, I think it's befitting that we pay honor to Reverend Barnes and his family. And I would like for this committee just to offer a moment of silence in honoring what he did for this city and the legacy that we will continue to build upon. Thank you. We'll go ahead and get started with Resolution RS 2017-836. Sponsors Virture authorizes the Metro Development and Housing Agency to enter into a pilot agreement and accept payments in lieu of ad valorem taxes with respect to a multifamily housing project located at 1205 Robinson Road. Is there a motion? It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? Councilman Cooper.
Thank you very much. I feel honored to rise with our new chairman, and it's going to be a fantastic year. And I think we're all very excited and want to congratulate and thank our new chairman. I didn't know if somebody was here from MDHA to answer a few questions. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harbison.
Thank you, Director. I'm grateful for your being here. In the pro forma on Robinson Flats, the breakout of the developer fee, I know you won't be surprised at my asking these questions, had 3 categories, and I wondered if you would comment on them. The developer fee was $4.3 million. The deferred fee was $3.135 million, I believe, earned over 10 years. And then there was another category I did not know what that meant, which was the earned fee of $1.164 million.
So the question is the earned fee?
Well, the question is all 3 fees, just confirming that I'm assuming the $4.3 million is paid in cash at the time of closing, and then the payment schedule for the deferred fee, but which is anticipated to be paid over that period of time. And then what is an earned fee? This is a new term for me.
Go ahead, Chief.
Thank you, Councilman Joe Kane with MDHA.
Thank you.
The 2 numbers should add up together. The 1.3 is what is earned at the time. That's what they get at the closing. And then the 3.1 is the deferred fee. So it should total up to $4 million. And I don't have I'm trying to find the exact page you're looking at. I may not have that right in front of me.
This is on the front page of your pro forma.
Okay.
So you're saying the total developer fee is $4.3 million, of which only $1.1 million is paid in cash?
Yes.
At closing? Okay. But you can see how that was unclear in looking at that.
You can word that better next time.
Thank you very much. And then the value of the rehabilitation is $13.1 million?
Yes, that's around, sounds right. Where's the development schedule?
That's not it.
We've got the developer here. He can probably speak to a breakout in the development budget, but that $13 million sounds right. Can you reference the page you're taking it off of? Well,
just, it was a little bit, everything digital. It's hard to know what page number it's on.
We printed it all out because sometimes I have trouble getting reception here.
Okay, so. Thank you.
Well, the 13 sounds right. Can you address this?
Hunter Nelson with Elmington Capital. It's actually, I think, a smudge on your paper. It's 18.1. It's not a renovation. It is a new construction.
Right.
So the value of the built work on this site is going to be $18.1 million?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so how is the total fee of $4.3 million calculated?
That's a THTA calculation. It's 25 on the 4% construction or 4% LIHTC program. It's 25% of what's called eligible basis, which is essentially your depreciable basis. And the reason why it's artificially high at 4.3 is because you earn credits on the fee, if that makes sense. So they allow you to take what is an artificially high developer fee. A majority of it has to be deferred, which it is in this case, and in order for them to generate more proceeds for the project because it's a federal program. But Councilman Cooper, the deferred fee has to be shown that it can be paid out over 15 years, or the developer has to write a check to the project to then pay that fee off, if that makes sense.
But the deferred fee is almost the same amount as the pilot tax abatement over those years.
Which is coincidental. THDA does the underwriting on the entire LIHTC.
Okay.
Before we ever see it, we defer to their reading of the federal statute.
Okay. And how much cash equity was actually put into the deal by the developer?
Yeah. I mean, total equity in this project will be close to $11.5 million.
At cash equity?
Yes, cash equity.
Okay, so the sources of the financing is a bank loan. So the total uses in the project is how much?
Total development budget.
Yeah, it's probably 30 million.
31.
31.
And the bank loan is for how much?
30, 31, 28. Yeah, 16.
Okay.
I'm trying to do the math in my head. I apologize.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I appreciate you doing this. So because I think it's important that you're saying the cash equity by the developer is over $11 million in this
That's
project.
Correct.
For the 209 units.
That's correct.
Okay. All right. And so the ROE on the project is in fact the return on that $11 million.
I believe so. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you again, and I'm grateful to all three of you. Every pro forma is a little bit different, and so reading it correctly sometimes requires going back to the true facts, as they say, from that standpoint. Okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you. And then one final question for the director. With this grant for the pilot, how much space is left in the $2.5 million?
In the annual allocation?
Yes, sir.
I don't know. I may have to take those in RFI. Oh, it's in the resolution.
There's 1.8 prior to this one remaining for this calendar year, and then this one is utilizing. I have the attached schedule.
It's in here somewhere.
It's
Just under 300, isn't it?
Yeah, so
Okay.
1.5.
It's 1.5 ends up
1.5.
being left, but this is over 10 years.
That's not how the.
The $2.5 million is approved for per year, and then each year another $2.5 million will come available for new projects. Okay. And so the $300,000 we're estimating for $300,000 this year, obviously, and then we're estimating it to as it increases over years. So
again, just for clarity, I'm very grateful to have the experts here in the room. The total program, the allocation for the total program per year, because if you've $2.5 million new per year, and then we've got the back years, is it about what for the abatements?
It could approach $25 million.
Okay.
Because there's $2.5 million per year.
Per year.
And then what you will find in the annual reporting, when we give you that, we will show you what the actual is, and you will have that when we do our actual reporting in April.
We can't go back.
No, we can't. No. So that's why we're working off the 2.5.
So it's an annual basis. So if you did not use your 2.5 in 1 year, when you reset for the next year, you can't withdraw to the previous year and draw down the unused amount.
But they tend to be about 10 years in length, and we tend to do about $2.5 million a year, and so we've got about $25 million in any 1 year, fully loaded.
We didn't get there last year,
right.
And we've only had one project that's actually come online, and we overestimated what the taxes were going to be, so we overestimated how much it was going to be. In reality, when the assessor came in, they had a lower number on what we had estimated. And so when that annual report comes out, most of these are new construction.
Okay.
And so we haven't had this track record yet to be able to demonstrate.
And we've not yet come close to the cap, not close at all to the cap per year.
Well, thank you. And again, I'm grateful to know that the earned fee in cash is really only $1.1 million as opposed to the 4.3, which reading that pro forma, you could easily come to the wrong conclusion. I'm grateful to you all being here, and I'm grateful to you, Chairman, for indulging my questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Cooper. Councilman Glover.
Thank you, Chair. My question really kind of revolves around how did we come to the conclusion that this would be for seniors age 62 and above when we're obviously we have a full population in need of the affordable housing. I guess I'd like to understand why we limited that, and how did we reach that conclusion?
Mr. Harbison, can you speak to this?
There's a general answer and a specific answer. The largest and greatest increase in need for affordable housing is aging baby boomers across the country, and especially here in Nashville. So that's a real big target population for MDHA in general and for people in the Affordable Housing Committee. On the specific project,
there's Old Hickory Towers, which is the only other affordable housing development in this census tract. It's not but maybe a few hundred yards from the project, and it has a waiting list of probably, I think, 3+ years at this point. And so obviously demonstrating the huge need up there, because I believe if Councilman Hager is here, I don't see him, but a lot of the population up there is retirees of old DuPont pensioners and stuff like that, or people like that, excuse me. And so we more or less are targeted seniors because of the Old Hickory Towers and the waiting list that they have there. We would love to do another project there that's more family, that meets all the needs, but specifically we targeted that because of the existing affordable housing project, and it's it's not meeting the full demand of the specific area. So.
and I just asked you to cover your last public meeting, because these were specific questions at public meeting from the local community desiring aging baby boomer affordable housing. Right. So just could you touch on that?
We did about a 2.5-hour question and answer session, or about a 2-hour question and answer session in Old Hickory. And most of the questions we got were, is there any way we can slightly lower the age restrictions down to 55? I said, oh gosh, I would love to, but just the way seniors are defined by HUD, we can't. So it's 62 and plus. But there was a ton of interest in that. Any other questions, Councilman Glover?
Yeah, just very quickly. So the criteria for the 62 and above, what is the fiscal characteristics that's needed by these? Is it Section 8? Is it welfare? Is it SSI?
It's just 60% AMI or less. So for a one person, it's $27,400 or $28,000. Yeah, $28,000 for a one person. For a 2-person household, it is, I think, $30,000. So those are the income targets, the restrictions we're hitting for those household sizes.
So they have. So help me understand that real quick, because it's been a while since we've talked about this. They have to make that, or they can't make greater than that?
They can't make greater than that.
Okay. So if they're much lower, are there subsidies that will be granted for these individuals? There
will be, yes, to help bridge the gap on the rent there.
And where will those subsidies be generated?
So he's applied for project-based vouchers. We're authorized to take our housing choice vouchers, which are the ones that are portable and go anywhere, and convert them on request of landlords that desire to participate in the program to vouchers dedicated to the project only. How many of you asked for?
200.
Yeah, so 200 out of 209. Mm-hmm. So 200 of the 209 apartments will be income qualified for 60% AMI or below. The tenant will pay 30% of whatever their earned income is. So while the qualifying strata may be $28,000, if they're making 10, they only pay $3,000 a year. The difference is paid in a voucher that MDHA provides him, funded by the federal government.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councilman Glover. Seeing no further discussion, all in favor? Opposed? Resolution is recommended. RS 2017-837, sponsor Virture, approves an interlocal agreement between Metro and the Industrial Development Board for administrative, financial, and legal services. Is there a motion? It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? Vice Chair, Councilman Schulman.
Thank you, Chair. So just a quick question. This may be for Mr. Wilshire. How does it work in terms of, it sounds like Metro provides services to the IDB, both in terms of administrative and legal?
Yes, that's correct. So technically, I am the executive director of the Industrial Development Board under a memorandum of understanding between the IDB and Metro government. In addition, Metro Finance keeps the bank accounts for the IDB, and Metro Legal provides certain legal advisory services, although I should note that the IDB has its own counsel, outside counsel that it has retained. So this is really just a sort of streamlining of government initiative, as I understand it, and help improve accountability and provide services to the IDB.
Okay, so I think that's where I got confused because when I appeared before the IDB, they did have counsel. So do they actually have their own legal counsel,
That
but
is
they
correct.
also rely on Metro Legal as well?
That is correct. And maybe I should defer to either Margaret or John to make the distinction, but as I understand it, the retained legal counsel provides advice in particular around bond issuances and other financial dealings that come before the IDB, and Metro Legal provides services around general sort of legal matters. But but instead of me answering, you want this, Margaret?
We provide legal advice for general counsel, general type matters, board matters, that sort of thing. If it's a bond issue, then they rely on Toon, Intrican, and White.
Okay, and do they? So is that a new contract that they have?
We've had a contract in place since about 2009 when they fired their last counsel. Okay, so when I was there, they were represented by, I think Mr. Took was there representing them. Correct, and he is still their bond counsel, and he comes to every meeting and he represents them on that front.
So.
Oh, I'm terribly sorry. I meant Troller and Took.
Okay, I thought we had different legal counsels doing it. Okay, thank you for the information. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Councilman Cooper?
My question was covered. Thank you.
Seeing no further discussion, all in favor? Opposed? Resolution is recommended. RS 2017-838, sponsor Virtue, approves a grant for Rockefeller Philanthropy Advisors Incorporated to support the city's development of a resilience strategy and to fund a chief resilience officer for the city of Nashville. Is there a motion? It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? Councilman Glover.
Help me understand exactly what this is, and is this position already in place?
We have someone from administration answer.
Councilman, I'm Eric Cole. I am our Chief Resilience Officer. So, yeah, I'm in place. This funds the salary for the CRO for 2 years.
Okay. So I just want to make sure the sequence of events that we're doing. So you're already in place. We've already spent the money. We're just now okaying spending the money.
Actually, Councilman, we have not received the funding yet. You all actually approved a letter of consent last year when we were awarded the grant, which is a little unusual. Honestly, we didn't know what the amount would be because that had to be negotiated. So you all approved that initial resolution, and now we're back with the actual grant contract. Once executed, then we can go forward with Rockefeller. In essence, they will reimburse for these last few weeks of what we've spent.
So what we're spending here, just where I make sure I understand the way that's written, what we're spending here is actually being covered by the grant. We're not actually spending additional taxpayer money out of Nashville. Okay, I just wanted to make sure I understood that.
That's correct.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Vice Chair.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Cole, just a couple of other questions. So tell me again the overall purpose of what this is all about, resiliency. What are we supposed to do with the amount of money that we get from, I guess, the Rockefeller Foundation?
So we will be back with you in a broader overview of what this process looks like and does. But in essence, over the course of 18 months, we will develop a resilient Nashville strategy that will involve constituent input, council input, departmental input, et cetera. Resilience is really the concept of being able to bounce back from immediate shocks and long-term stresses. So we had a great example last Thursday and Friday of an immediate shock in heavy localized flooding that none of us predicted. And then a long-term stress is more of the issues of that you've discussed already today, but affordable housing and our economic longevity over time. So this strategy really will weave a number of the plans and strategies that you all have already endorsed and put in place, and we hope lead us towards some implementation items that fall into the Resilient Nashville strategy.
Okay, so last question. So it's 18 months, and it's just not tied to disasters.
Right. It's not just disasters. You know, for instance, Chicago just released their resilient strategy, and it is tied heavily to racial equity, for instance, because that's a long-term issue within Chicago itself. I mean, within Boston. I'm sorry, I said Chicago, I meant Boston. But other cities have taken different approaches. Obviously, Miami's resilience issues are right in front of their face in terms of a 8 to 10 foot sea level rise in the next 20 years. Ours are a little bit more in depth, and this 18 months will really allow us to explore that and understand what our constituents really see as those challenges.
Okay, all right, thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Gilmore.
Thank you. I had a question for you, Mr. Cole. Congratulations. I know that announcement was made some time ago. Remind me again how your office is structured, because I know that they kind of pulled in and merged several offices and brought them in under you.
So what we've made shifts in the mayor's office itself, and so we have within the resilience office the financial empowerment and financial inclusion work, as well as some other functions within the mayor's office. The mayor created an office of housing going forward that has the staff that worked on the Barnes Fund and on affordable housing within that office. Put the workforce development functions into the ECD office. I mean, really just kind of, you know, arrange the priorities in a way that we can address them most effectively going forward. No. The resilience office is kind of an additional office, and each office is kind of in its own place within the org chart.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Seeing no further discussion, all in favor? Opposed? Resolution is recommended. RS 2017-839 sponsors Virture, authorizes the Metro Department of Law to compromise and settle the claim of Barry Macarius against Metro in the amount of $17,000. Is there a motion? It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Resolution is recommended. RS 2017-840 sponsors Virture and others, approves an intergovernmental agreement between the Metro Police Department and Tennessee State University for extra-duty police services. Is there a motion? It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Resolution is recommended. RS 2017-841 sponsors Virture, Gilmore, and Roberts, approves a contract between the Tennessee Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services and the Nashville Fire Department for emergency transportation services. Is there a motion? It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Resolution is recommended. RS 2017-843 sponsors Virture and Roten, approves a play spaces grant for the National Recreation and Park Association to the Metro Parks and Recreation Department with co-developer Conexion Americas for the purchase and development of Casa Azafran Park. Is there a motion? It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Resolution is recommended. RS 2017-844 sponsors Virture and Roten, approves an application for Library Services and Technology Act grant for the Tennessee State Library and Archives to the Nashville Public Library to fund the purchase of an Android mobile lab to provide free digital training for the citizens of Nashville. Is there a motion? It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Resolution is recommended. Was any opposed? No. Resolution is recommended. RS 2017-845, sponsors Virtue and Gilmore, approves a grant from the Tennessee Department of Health and Metro Board of Health to improve the health of those residing in or visiting Davidson County through targeted strategies to prevent and control the use of tobacco products. Is there a motion? It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Resolution is recommended. RS 2017-846, sponsors Virtue and Gilmore, approves a contract for services between the Metro Board of Health and Tennessee Department of Health to provide smoke and cessation program Baby and Me Tobacco Free. Is there a motion? It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, opposed? All in favor? Resolution is recommended. RS 2017-847, sponsors Virtue and Gilmore, approves an amendment to a grant from the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency to the Metro Board of Health to fund an ongoing program to achieve established ambient air standards and protect human health. Is there a motion? It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Resolution is recommended. RS 2017-848, sponsors Virtue and Gilmore, approves an amendment to a grant from the United States Environmental Protection Agency to the Metro Board of Health for the ongoing collection of data and ambient air concentrations in Nashville, Tennessee. Is there a motion? It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Resolution is recommended. RS 2017-849, sponsors Gilmore, approves an amendment to a grant from Tennessee Department of Health to the Metro Board of Health to implement and coordinate activities and services related to HIV, AIDS, STD, and viral hepatitis prevention, testing, diagnosis, and treatment and surveillance. Is there a motion? It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Resolution is recommended. RS 2017-851, sponsors Virtue and Withers, approves a grant from the Tennessee Department of Labor and Workforce Development to the Nashville Career Advancement Center to establish career services for eligible adults, youth, and dislocated workers with barriers to employment, education, training, and support services. Is there a motion? It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Resolution is recommended. RS 2017-852, sponsors Virtue Withers, approves a grant from the Tennessee Department of Labor and Workforce Development to the Nashville Career Advancement Center to establish programs to prepare and carry out for adult service recipients. Is there a motion? It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Resolution is recommended. RS 2017-853, sponsors Rosenberg Virtue Railroad, approves an intergovernmental agreement between the Tennessee Department of Transportation and Metro Public Works for the resurfacing of 5.58 miles of McQuarrie Lane and State Route 100 to State Route 1 Charlotte Pike. Is there a motion? It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Resolution is recommended. Bills on second reading. BL 2017-860, sponsors Cooper, Bettany, and others, amends the Metro Code to modify the eligibility requirements for the Blighted Property Grant Program and establish a Historic Preservation Grant Program. We do have a letter for the sponsor to approve. Is there a motion? It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? Vice Chair Shulman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a quick question. I believe this all works on census tracts now, and I think we have a copy of, or we can get a copy of it. I guess I'm asking the director, can you provide us with a copy of the census tracts so we'll know which ones they are? All right.
I'll email that. Audra Ladd runs that program, but I'll email it to you right now.
Okay. All right.
Vice Chair, would you just like for that to come back to the committee itself? Or
Yeah, if it can go to the whole committee, if you want to email it to either the chair or to Mr. Jameson, and he can just send it out to everybody. That'd be great. Thank you.
Seeing no further discussion, all in favor? Opposed? The bill is recommended. BL 2017-861 sponsors Van Rees, Pridemore, and others, amends the Metro Code to address procedures for the sole source procurement of public art projects, products, and services. Is there a motion? It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Bill is recommended. Bills on third reading. BL 2017-836, sponsor Councilman Cooper, authorizes the Industrial Development Board to accept payments in lieu of ad valorem taxes with respect to Keystone Automotive Industries Incorporated. We do have a proposed amendment on this. It says a proposed amendment on it. Okay. Okay. Is there a motion? It's been moved and properly seconded. Councilman Cooper.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. A couple of quick questions. Actually, if you didn't mind, the amendment, could you briefly, Mr. Jamison, bring us up to date on the amendment?
Which one is your idea?
Essentially, it's almost housekeeping. The previous version of this did not attach the actual agreement, so this attaches as an Exhibit A. Also, the previous version referenced, instead of referring to the board, it used another curious term, issuer, and so it just makes that word switch.
Thank you. I had a couple of questions for Mr. Wilshire, which he will not be surprised at. At our last meeting, we were trying to apply the Wilshire rule, which he very modestly declined to have it be named for him, which is the but-for rule. And I was going to ask him to make the but-for case this particular abatement.
Sure. The discussions with this company about this project went on over a series of months as they were evaluating both Davidson County and areas outside of Davidson County, and in fact areas outside of the state of Tennessee for this consolidation and expansion. It is the belief of the administration that providing this incentive was a necessary step in order for them to choose to locate this project in Davidson County and retain the 415 jobs that they have here and add 150 additional jobs. And so it was a competitive process with other jurisdictions. As I said, we spent a lot of time on this one, working really hard to keep this company, which has been a great employer in Nashville.
Thank you. So to summarize your answer, they were going to go to a different county?
They were evaluating alternatives. I don't want to speak for the company or create concern amongst their workforce, but yes, they were considering a variety of different alternatives.
But Rutherford County property taxes for this project would be $70,000 higher than in Davidson County.
So there are a variety of factors, as you and I have discussed, about sort of where they might end up. And I will turn it over to the company, but I will neither confirm nor deny that Rutherford County was one of the other jurisdictions under consideration for this. But I can say from the economic analysis that we did and from the conversations we had with the company, we believe that given the totality of the factors involved in their consideration, that this was a necessary component of the deal to retain them. It looks like the company is here. I don't know if they have something that they would like to add to that. It's not. I guess it's not on me to.
We can have them come up.
Recognize them.
Thank you. My name's Tom Trent at the Bradley Law Firm with Chris Bowles, and this is Cy Finkelstein from the company. Short answer to this question is that the site selection consultant for the project was Mark Williams. He's with Strategic Development Group. He had been working with Cy, whose office is in Charlotte. Mark Williams' office is in South Carolina. They looked at South Carolina and Charlotte first. They had 5 different projects they looked at in Charlotte while they were looking here and in surrounding environs. And eventually, after dealing with the mayor's office, pursued sites here more vigorously, got an offer letter from the mayor's office in December, and the decision was made to proceed. Correct. So the primary competition, frankly, was Charlotte, which is where Cy lives. And secondary would have been.
But you're.
Yeah, and honestly, Chicago was the other one they looked at. That's right, I forgot about that.
But as I understand it, you're currently in Grassmere here in Davidson County. You're having an expansion of almost twice the size, but trying, in effect, to pay the same property taxes that you pay in your current location in Grassmere.
That's not correct.
Well, please correct me.
Okay, well.
Please speak into the microphone.
Our building right now is up for sale for $12 million. Our project is being built for $27 million. We had budgeted 25. Unfortunately, there was some site issues that had to be adjusted for, but we're stretching it, and we wanted to help our employees here, help the community here, and that's why we reached out to try to make this happen for our people.
But you're paying about $130,000 to $140,000 worth of taxes, which is about the same amount you would continue to pay even in the larger facility with this $206,000 annual abatement, instead of the approximately $50,000 that you would be paying without the abatement. So it seems to me that you're really expanding, which is wonderful, but trying to pay your old property tax amount, which is probably a goal of everybody in Nashville, not to have to pay increased property taxes.
Well, let me just add that it's not just the building, it's not just the land. We're spending an additional possibly $5 million for furnishings. So at the end of the day, between tangible personal property taxes and real estate taxes, we're taking a big hit here. Whether you give us the help or not, we're going to be struggling if you don't give us the help. And we try to do the right thing and move forward with it.
But what do we tell every other business that's expanding, that wants to expand?
Well, if they want to spend $32 million in total to try to expand, God bless.
Well,
it's hard.
Several million square feet have been built in the last couple of years, and not that many abatements have been requested on that space. What makes you special?
Let me add that these are 150 new jobs at an average wage of about $75,000. So very good jobs. That's what makes it special. Plus, the abatement is only on the increase in property taxes, and then it's only, and they're paying 40% of any increases over the current tax on that site. So there is 40% payment in lieu that will be going to the city that can be used for schools or other things. And the term of the abatement is not all that long. So it's not that robust of incentive, but it was enough to cause them to pick the site here.
Now, one final question. In the agreement is a 20% DBE requirement. At the last Budget and Finance Committee, Madam Chairman, we were promised the benchmark study, which we have not received. 3 weeks ago, we were told it would be out in a week. I wonder if we could have a comment about when we might expect the benchmark study.
I'll check on that when I get back and try to have a report for you this afternoon.
Well, this has been promised for some time. Okay. Well, given that the DBE is a fundamental requirement, I find, in the proposal, perhaps, Madam Chairman, we should defer this one more time until we receive the benchmark study on the DBE. So I would like to make a motion to defer for one meeting with the benchmark study being available to the committee and to the council.
Councilman, that is not related to this at all.
Well, isn't the benchmark study fundamentally about the DBE participation?
Not for these specific projects.
Well, to me, it is related. And again, if there's not, we were promised this 3 weeks ago and then some weeks before that. So I would renew my motion to defer this until the DBE study is produced and available to the council.
Okay. I would just, that is not tracked and is not a component of that report. I just want to be clear about that, that would not be data that would be included in part of the benchmarking study.
There's a motion for deferral.
Is there any discussion?
Yeah, any discussion? Is there a second? Council Lady Dow.
Thank you. I'm going to ask that we do not defer this. I really don't see any purpose of deferring it at this point. Now, we've sat here and approved, I don't know how many different types of abatements in areas that were not delineated, that did not need infrastructure improvements and so forth. Now, one thing I want to point out here is when we look at this minimal amount of abatement that we're giving, people fail to realize that they go in and they put in infrastructure improvements, Councilman Cooper, and I invite you to come out. In fact, I've said this many times. Excuse me. I invite all of you to come out to Southeast Davidson County so you can see what's going on in the city. A lot of times we stay in our communities and we're not aware of what happens outside of the core. Our area is growing. We lack necessary infrastructure improvements, and oftentimes when you have companies that come in, they're willing to go in and put in infrastructure that the city has not. And they are planning to improve this corner down there. A second thing is, we have quite a few people that live in our community will walk to work over there. You know, right now they're getting on the interstate and getting on the roads and they're costing us a lot of money. And additionally, I think this is a very minimal amount of investment to make in our Antioch community in consideration of what we've made in other parts of the city. This area is in decline and is just now starting to come back. We have a significant portion of the most educated people, young people living out in the community that need these jobs. Most of the jobs in our city, unfortunately, a lot of them do not pay a living wage or enough to live, and they're willing to come in, bring in jobs making $75,000 a year. Now, considering our community, that's a nice salary to be able to afford a place out in the Antioch area so they can live where they were. In addition to that, when this company comes in, it's going to bring in necessary businesses like restaurants and retail that the community wants. And I really appreciate you scrutinizing these deals because I do that as well with a lot of them. But I think what we need to do is look at things outside the city and consider those things. When we come up and we're talking about soccer fields and baseball fields and convention centers and all of those things, we tend to not scrutinize those as much. But when we look at companies coming in, that when this company comes in, you know, the gentleman that, where the TJ Maxx Plaza is that's delineated, he's dependent on LQK to come in, build his company, hire employees, so that they can come there and patronize his restaurant because he's struggling as a small business owner. And so I think that sometimes you have to look outside of, you know, here's X amount of dollars that a company already has that needs, but you have to look at the fact is they are improving Old Franklin and Crossing Boulevard. There's two other ancillary companies that I've talked with that is looking at the area saying, hey, things are coming back. I'm speaking at a conference this week with investment managers about development in the area. And one of the big things I said, if you want to bring restaurants back at what the neighbors want to stay in our county, because half of them are leaving, going to Wilson County, so we're losing property tax dollars. If you want to keep those people, you got to put jobs in the communities where the commutes are not that far. You got to give them salaries to live in Davidson County. And putting businesses like in the community not only provide jobs, but it helps those small businesses. So I think it's a small investment to make. When people ask, like, what are they giving to small businesses? Well, you should come out and you should talk to Sahal and ask him who runs a deli, what is he getting out of LQK being there? He's able to feed his family, and he's able to give back to the community. You know, he's able to sponsor the Little League teams and the softball teams and so forth. So I would ask that we pass this, we move forward, and when we start scrutinizing things, let's look closer to the core of this city, and let's not look at areas like Bellevue, Antioch, and Madison, and some of the other areas, North Nashville, around the counties. When they have an opportunity to get investment in their communities, then we decide that it's a good time to scrutinize them and not allow it to happen. So I ask you move this forward. Thank you. And vote no against the deferral.
Madam Chairman?
Thank you.
I find the council lady entirely persuasive, and I withdraw my motion, and agree with her that Southeast Nashville has long deserved additional incentive and investment from the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Cooper. I see there's a lot highlighted. Is there any other discussion on the deferral that's been withdrawn? Councilman Henderson? Councilman Davis? Were you being recognized on the deferral that's been withdrawn? Okay, so the motion for deferral
It's withdrawn. You can move.
it's been withdrawn, so we're back on the original bill with the proposed amendment. Councilman Mendez.
I was just going to move the amendment.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? Councilman Davis. We're on the bill as amended.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I love the spirited debate here. Once again, my colleague to the left has some great points. But one thing I want to remind people of, I have an LKQ location in my district, and about 4 years ago, or maybe 3 years ago, we were discussing similar aspects. They created 400 jobs out there in Grassmere, and back then, which was Chris Harmon's district. And they created additional 25 jobs in my district, and they hired from the Guatemalan community right behind me, and they hired from my neighbors in the Cleveland Park area. And they did almost 100% diversity hire with men, women, Hispanic and African American at that site. Also, they committed to sponsoring the school, Schwab Elementary. And they did it. They built a brand new marquee for them. They did a lot of infrastructure. And every year, LKQ employees adopt that school and become pencil partners and tutors for that school. So they do what they say they're going to do. But more importantly, creating those jobs out in the southeast Davidson County and South Nashville is very important. I, too, would love to see the DB study and the information that we requested back. I do agree with that with Councilman Cooper. But one thing about this company, they do what they say they're going to do. And they've done it in my district. They've done it in Chris Harmon's district. And I'm confident that they'll do it in Ms. Dowell's district, who more than deserves those 150 great jobs. And they do have a large commitment to diversity. And they proved that with me in my district and also out there in Grassmere. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councilman Davis. Discussion on the amendment. Councilwoman Henderson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I apologize. My question is not specifically on the amendment, but I just had a question for Mr. Wilshire as to the bill as a whole. Is my question appropriate now? Or it's just the bill is amended? Is that what we're on now?
We're discussing the amendment.
Any further discussion on the amendment?
Any further discussion on the amendment? All in favor? Opposed?
Now we're on the bill as amended.
Now we're on the bill as amended. All in favor? Oh, I'm sorry, discussion? Council Lady Henderson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My question is to Mr. Wilshire. Matt, we've spoken in the past on these pilot agreements, the extent to which the mayor's office is promoting the Easy Ride program. Can you tell me if that was discussed and if they will be participating? I don't see it written here. Can you speak to that?
I like the way the chair was running, just getting straight to the vote. So I'm going to give my props to the chair as well. But this is one actually I can talk with you about. And Councilperson Allen also asked this question specifically about this. Unfortunately, MTA does not have a bus stop within a quarter mile or maybe even further than that of this location. I believe that the company and Mr. Finkelstein, I believe, is the real estate person, so I don't think he's the operations person to address this point, but I believe that the company has been in communication with MTA about getting some more Proximus MTA service out at this location. The short answer to your question is, given the fact that they're not within a quarter mile of a bus stop, we did not require them to participate in the Easy Rider program, but we did talk with them about that and encouraged them to try and find ways of encouraging additional public transportation ridership as a part of their workforce recruitment efforts. And this is sort of the trade-off, right? I understand the critique of investing in companies that locate maybe downtown or in other areas, but in the more densely populated areas, populated both by businesses and by residents, you have the easier access to mass transit. So anyway, I'll just stop talking there.
So the crossings is not served by transit? That's not my understanding.
This particular location where they are is not within a quarter mile. I mean, the crossings area broadly is, but this location specifically where they are on Crossings Boulevard is not. And I've confirmed that with MTA.
Alrighty. So
Council Lady Henderson.
yeah, I apologize. Council Lady Dow was sharing with me that there is a bus stop she feels within walking distance on Bell Road and Mountain View Road, and that there's appropriate sidewalk infrastructure to walk from this location to that bus stop. Okay,
I will revisit this issue with MTA. When I asked them about it, that was the response I got, but let me...
Yeah.
I commit to you to revisit this issue. I actually spoke with them about this. Regardless of whether there is one within 5 miles or 5 feet, I think making sure that LKQ or Keystone's employees are aware of the Easy Rider program and that they have an ability to offer to their employees at a sort of favorable rate would certainly be something that would make sense. So,
right, and
how about I commit to you to make sure that happens, regardless of adoption?
I appreciate that, but I hope what you're hearing from this council, from Council Lady Allen and myself, is we don't want this to be sort of a on the side at the end, we'll encourage it, that kind of thing. I mean, I think if we are affording tax abatement, we need to lead with this as part of the conversation, and that it needs to be addressed on the front end more diligently.
Absolutely. I will absolutely make that happen. And my understanding is that Councilperson Allen has actually filed legislation to that effect as well to hold me accountable.
Happy to co-sponsor that. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Lady Henderson. Council Lady Dow, did you have further discussion on the amendment?
On the bill as amended.
I just want to say quickly that and we have a Century Farm development that's going on Old Franklin Pike as well, and that's going to be transit friendly. We also have the BRT that runs down Murfreesboro Road that has a stop at Mount View and Bell Road that is within walking distance to LQK. So on 2 sides, that might be something you want to look at, and I'll show you that on the map. But currently we have the bus rapid transit that stops on Murfreesboro Road at Mount View, which is a straight walk down Mount View, cross the road there, and we're putting pedestrian infrastructure in with the new hotel as well as in the Century Farms development. If you go back and read through that development, we talked about, and we're planning to put in ride share and transit friendly infrastructure there. So keep that in mind.
Thank you, Council Lady Dow. Councilman Mendez, were you seeking? Seeing no further discussion, we're on the bill as amended. All in favor? Opposed? Bill is recommended. And that concludes our Budget and Finance meeting.